Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn's Taste Challenge. Here we are at 5:34 a.m. Central Daylight Time, August 27th, 2019. Uh, Start, but it won't stay that way. All right, we have from 1934 about. They don't say on the website. They say they started blending this J&B just in time for the end of Prohibition. Well, that would be a United States prohibition around 1933-34. Mid-30s, okay. Justerini and Brooks distilled, blended, and bottled in Scotland, established 1749. No, the Scotch whiskey did not come onto the market in 1749. The company started back then. It's Diageo today, owned by Diageo. It's made under a royal warrant, this Scotch, and they name all the kings and queens. Not this Scotch per se, although it is, but the company is purveyors to the royal family. J&B, Justerini and Brooks, is actually a wine broker and liquor. And if you look at their main website, not J&B Scotch, that's just a whiskey website, but the main website, it's mainly just a list of all the products they offer. And it's saying, here's what you can buy. Do you want Pinot Grigio wine? Here's the list we have. And how much do you want to, contact us and tell us how much you want to buy and set up a purchasing schedule and all that. That's the main thing. What they did, buy wine and liquor and then sell it to other people. A broker. Like in the United States, we had Bellows. What was it? Charles Bellows, I think, and Sons. But J&B was a broker, is. But they decided in the 1930s, they decided, I think, in 1929 to do it. Kind of like start working on that. But they decided to make their own brand of Scotch whiskey. All right. But you could check me out on that. And you find it very interesting. There's the red cap, the pretty label. One of the best looking Scotch whiskey labels in the world, right? Great looking bottle, great bottle shape, bottle design, green, great label, classic. I used to say, what is J&B? Jim and Beam? I didn't know what it was years ago. It's so rare, you have to go to Walmart to get it. This is rare. It's not sold anywhere. Walmart, babe. All right. Then Diageo picked it up. The competitor is Chivas Regal. Originally introduced in 1909 as a 24-year age, but they do offer a 25-year age today, like $260 a bottle. Reintroduced in 1938 as an 86.6 proof, 12-year age blended whiskey. Now it's been diluted to 80 proof. So is it as good and rich and flavorful as it was in the old days? I doubt that. Have a lot of whiskeys been watered down? Yes, Jack Daniels used to be 90. Then they dropped it to 86. Now it's 80. Okay. I think J&B is going to win. I think it's going to win easily, even though there's no age statement. It's not, I don't think it's anywhere close to 12 years. Now look at the price difference. Look at the price. J&B, I got it on sale for $18.99. But the typical price be about $22 a bottle. The Chivas Regal, $34. So we're talking about $12 difference. Is Chivas Regal going to be $12 better than the Justerini and Brooks, the J&B? $12 better? I don't even think it's going to be better. I think it's going to lose. So Chivas Regal, to me, has been getting beat up. Beat up. CR, Chivas Regal. All right. Is that my problem? No, it is not. I bought it. They didn't send it to me. I bought it. And I'm telling you what I think. If I thought it was A+ and was winning, I would say that. but it isn't. So I'm saying that. What's the best blended whiskey I've had so far? Easily Buchanan's. Easily Buchanan's. From 1884. 12. Yeah, it's only 80 proof now. It probably was, I think it was higher years ago. But that Buchanan, same price, $34. Kills Chivas. And they're kind of like the same. They're both Diageo. All right. They're separate companies, but they're under the Diageo umbrella. But they go up the line. You know what I mean? Up the ladder. You start with the 12-year age base model, and then Buchanan's goes up, 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 and you can get up to $200-300 a bottle. Bottles. Same with Chivas Regal. Prince of Whiskeys. There's a man on a horse with a sword and all of this. It's a fancy label now. For label design, it gets high scores because it's fancy and it's a unique bottle design. But I didn't buy it for that reason. And their website is really nice. It's much better than the J&B website. It goes into all kind of intricate detail, and they make you just think, oh, that's the greatest stuff. So it's one of the best websites you can go to. But the real proof is in the tasting, not a beautiful website. That's attractive. It helps push the product. Marketing is important. Somebody said on Alcohol Legs yesterday, marketing is everything. I said it's a big part of it. I agreed that it's a big part of it. It's not everything, because if the quality of the product is lacking, then marketing won't override that. Okay. Johnny Walker's the #1 blended Scotch whiskey in the world. Their website it's okay. It's not really that great. And that's Diageo also. I don't know why Diageo doesn't do a better job with that website. So that's coming into play in a couple of months. I think Johnny Walker is better, just from the little sampling I had. But anyway, and that's the same thing. Go up the line, go up the line. Well, we can see that the J&B is lighter. Yeah. Sure. J&B is straw, like the Cutty Sark. Now, the Cutty Sark was sort of like a tie with Chivas. I thought it was going to lose, but I thought Chivas was going to lose to Cutty Sark, but it was a tie. But it was still a defeat for Cutty Sark. I mean, for Chivas Regal, because I know $14 is way less than $34. So I would pick Cutty Sark every time. I'm going to save $21 a bottle. So the Chivas should be darker. It's aged 12 years. Cutty Sark J&B might, I don't know what it is, 3, 4, or 5 years. I don't know. They don't say, so I'm not going to try to guess. They say the heart of their whiskey is Speyside single malt. Look what it says. Inspired by an Italian, created in London and distilled in Scotland. All true. Inspired by an Italian immigrant, Mr. Gestorini. It was created in London and distilled in Scotland. It's unlike any other Scotch whiskey. Yeah, sure. It brings together 42 single malt and grain whiskeys and carefully blends them. Now, that's true. They do carefully blend this to create a subtle, smooth, and complex flavor. All right. At the heart of J&B is the Speyside single malt. Fruity, fresh quality you can taste and gives it the light color. Goes on and on. This unique blend makes it perfect for mixings. They're telling you, it says go overboard on the mixers, but don't go overboard on the J&B. So they're saying drink it in moderation. And it's a mixing whiskey. Now, if a company tells you that, don't sit there and complain that it's not super complex like a great sipper. It's probably 34 grain whiskeys and 8 single malts, you know what I mean? The VO, Seagram's VO from Canada, which is being transferred to Sazerac at this time because they bought it. They'll tell you that on the website. It's created to be a sipper. I mean, I can't think straight today. It's created to be a mixer. And they're saying, well, it's got some complex things, kind of, but it's mainly made for mixed drinks. So they're telling you ahead of time, don't expect a whole lot because it's not designed to be all that. All right. Now, Chivas Regal, they go into like, oh, it's so great. And my attitude has been, no, it ain't really. Okay. Chivas Regal 12, rich and generous, a blend of the finest malt and grain whiskeys matured for at least 12 years. Luxurious honey, hadn't noticed that. Vanilla, hadn't noticed that. Ripe apple, hadn't noticed that. Because blended is better in life and in scotch. Well, that'll set people off, huh? Blended scotch is better than single malt. You say they can't be serious. I'm sure they're not being serious because they sell a bunch of single malts at Chivas Regal. Chivas Brothers. Sarah Britton says, hi, Ron, how are you? I'm fine, Sarah, and thanks for watching. I believe you have a video channel, and I'll watch it. It's early. I see a little glint of daylight, I think. The window's sweating because I had the air conditioner on in here, and it's so humid outside. It's unbelievably humid. You walk out. I walked outside to get the newspaper at 2:50 a.m. Yeah, I woke up early, 2:50 a.m., and I was sweating by the time I came back in, and I only had to walk to the driveway. It's that hot. Really, it's not that hot. It's that humid. The humidity here is outrageous. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, pick up a little single malt, that breadiness, that dough. I always say it's like bread dough. You say, what about honey and all these things? There is a honey flavor, J&B. It's called J&B, like a honey bee, B-E-E. J&B with a B on it, the label. J&B honey. J&B honey. Mostly it's just grain, kind of fills your nose. Is it what you call harsh? It's kind of ragged. I don't know how you describe grain alcohol made from corn, in this case, not rice, corn, maize. It's kind of ragged, yeah, harsh. Could you make a blended Scotch whiskey with only grain alcohol? Well, you could. You could just blend them together. It'd have to be blended to be blended. You could make a single grain Scotch, but then I don't know. I don't think you'd want to drink it. It would just be so tough to take. That's why they add the single malts, about 20% single malt blend, single malt whiskeys blended in to give it the flavor. They tell you every time on the website that's where the flavor comes from. If you read the websites carefully, they'll tell you that the grain whiskey is made just to be a base. It's mainly odorless and colorless. It's just column stilled. You hate to use the word filler. But let's say it's the framework, the frame, the structure, the body of it. And then all the character is the single malts. This one is a little cleaner in the nose. Well, actually a good deal cleaner in the nose. A lot of times in the morning we'll have Craig Swenson watching, Jeremy Vincent watching, John Anile watching. Kind of like the crew, you know, watching, commenting. Bread, I say bread crust, like white bread with crust, if you got it out the toaster. Yeah, something like that. Not a harsh grain here. No, it's light. That's making me think it's J&B. This I do not know, but I think. So at this point, I think more than no, but I think this is J&B, and I think that's Chivas. Little Pete, but I'm not totally confident. Or actually, I'm not really confident. Okay, now we got some comments. Affy182, thanks for watching, Affy182. What's up? Doing some scotch tasting. Sarah says, is the whiskey giving you a nice warm feeling? No, because I haven't tried tasting it yet. Arlen Addy says, morning, Ron. Have you seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Affy, it's a great full-time job. Yeah, I've seen that movie by Ken Kesey. Interesting movie. It had a big impact on the mental health industry, which to a large extent ended over the last 44 years, ended involuntary commitments. And so then after that movie came out and they started doing all this outpatient treatment, then you see the explosion of the homeless population across the United States. And people said, it's Reagan, it's Reagan. But yet mental health professionals who weren't bought off, like what's his name? Fuller Tory, we're saying, no, it's not that. It's that the people are out of their minds. They've got schizophrenia and all this. And they if you gave them a job in a house, they wouldn't keep it. They couldn't keep it, you know. E. Fuller Tory, I think that's his name. And Ken Kesey had ties to the Central Intelligence Agency, ties to LSD promotionals with rock and roll music, Jefferson Airplane, Grateful Dead, who also were involved with Bear Owsley. Jefferson Airplane members said that the CIA was involved with providing the drug via University of California, Berkeley, and protecting them from arrest by telling the state police ahead of time before their show, don't arrest them. They're part of a program. This is not my words. Jorma Kaukonen's words. He laughed about it, but I would say it's no laughing matter. Okay, I would like to live a life where I can drink liquor at 6 in the morning. Okay. So why did the chief get killed? Why did the chief kill Jack Nicholson? Jack was never crazy in the movie. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to do an expose of that book and movie. A psychopath is not crazy. They're just bad. They know what they're doing. They don't hear voices and they don't see hallucinations. They're just bad and they like doing it. Okay. All right. This one does have some single malt coming out as it's breathing, though. All right. Of course, that movie is meant as an allegory anyway. It's not meant to be face value. It's an allegory. It's allegorical. You say, is there a Freemasonic foundation of the film? Almost certainly. I don't know that, but I have a feeling if I investigate it, you would find that it's probably based on some Scottish Rite allegorical stuff. Processions, you see. All right. Interesting. This one in my right hand with the taste has a little bit of a harsh grain. Thing going on a little bit. And then this one has more of the single malt, the peat, little smoke. a touch of it. If you're looking for a smoky Scotch, J&B and Chivas Regal are not gonna they're not gonna provide that. All right, they're just not. I mean, there's a shade of it, but it isn't really there. This one has a little peat though. Okay, it's a taste challenge, and it's kind of challenging this morning here. Island Natty, but Chief escaped though. Yep. Yeah, the one to my right is kind of harsh on the grain. I gotta say, quite a bit harsher than the one on the left. So the aroma can trick you, can trick you, can trick you, can trick you. Oh, the one in my left hand tastes better. It's smoother, it's lighter, it's more bready, it's fruitier, it's got more dough. It's got more everything going for it, except the price. You say, oh, well, you must think it's J&B. Yes, I do. That's correct. Yes, I think it is. Island Natty says James P. Madonna scares Jean-Pierre with all these hanging dolls. Well, Jean-Pierre's family's from Haiti, so he's probably thinking it's some kind of, you know what I mean, Baron Samedi setup. All right, so I think this one's better, and it's $12 cheaper, and I think it's J&B. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think it's J&B. Is it way better? Oh, yeah, it's a pretty good deal better. Yeah, I always did think the J&B was mighty fine, assuming I'm correct, and I'm very confident at this point that I'm correct. So let's call it J&B. Now this one should say CR, Chivas Regal CR. Duh. Make sure I had it turned upside down. CR, it does. CR. I did it. Got it. Now it was a little tough on aroma, but once I started tasting it, it was clearly not the same. Does J&B Scotch whiskey taste like Chivas Regal Scotch whiskey blended? No. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, yeah. We want to get into him right now. Okay. There is some smoke. There is some beeswax, wax, yeah. There's like some nectar and some peat. Good deal of peat. All good. J&B is not as good as Buchanan's, but boy, it's close. And it's so cheap if you can get it on sale like I did at ABC Wine and Spirits in St. Petersburg, Florida on US Highway 92 northbound. That part, the east side of town. Oh, yeah. That was a great deal. I told my father, let's stop there, because I knew I had checked their website that they were going to have it on sale all month last year. I said, I could save. I'm going to be in St. Petersburg anyway. I can save $4 or $5. And I did. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, Chivas Regal, I bought that at Walmart, $33.99 with the gift pack. It's been a terrible disappointment. It's harsh. There's a lot of grain. It's got a raggedness. It's not smooth. I don't know where this idea that it's smooth is coming from. I just think it's a big failure. And if Pernod-Ricard it takes issue with that and comes at me, whatever. But I just don't think it's good. I gave it an A- in the initial review. It's true because in isolation, a lot of times these faults are not exposed. You don't detect them. You just take it in isolation. You say, oh yeah, it's got a lot of interesting qualities, like with the Bellows Club whiskey. In isolation, the Bellows had a lot of great qualities, and I was giving it a great score. And I said the second best blended American whiskey I ever tried. All that. But when you expose them to competition, that brings out the faults, you see, that you didn't detect before. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why one whiskey would bring out qualities in another whiskey, but it does. And it's sort of like, I guess, watching summer training camp, pro football teams or college. And you say, wow, the New Orleans Saints have so many good players this year, and their draft. This magazine said they had an A draft and all of this. And look, they're doing all right in preseason, but it's all a mirage, because until you put them up against other teams in real competition, that's games that count. Then you don't know. You think you know, but you don't really know. And I've been to NFL preseason games where people would be cheering like, yeah, yeah, shaking their bell and their pom-pom. I'm like, why are you all excited because they made a touchdown in essentially practice? We're talking about practice. All right. We're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. So you were so excited because the guy made a touchdown in an exhibition game, a dress rehearsal. In other words, it's practice, a scrimmage where they wear the actual uniforms. It's not real. It's a mirage. Now, when I was 8 years old, I didn't understand. So I would tell my father, man, the Saints are really good this year. They're 3-0 in preseason. He would say, look, and they used to have 6 preseason games back then. That's a mirage. He wouldn't use that term. Buddy Deliberto used that term, but he would say it's not real, it's fake. And now I realize it. Now, Island Natty says some flavored whiskeys taste like cough syrup. Yeah, they really do. Walmart Chinese whiskey deals. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of whiskey from China, but it may exist. I wouldn't be too keen to drink it. College football Saturday. Go Dogs, says B-Man. Go Tigers, LSU. LSU's playing Georgia Southern. I wouldn't laugh too fast, though, because we know from LSU's history that those easy wins sometimes don't work out so well, like with the University of Alabama, Birmingham in 2000. I was there. I was talking to this LSU super fan, this woman, and she was telling, I said, boy, it could be a tough game today. And she said, it's impossible for LSU to lose to this team. I remember I looked at her. I said, impossible? And I would say 95% of the people at the game figured that was the case. Impossible. They cannot lose to Alabama Birmingham, a team that hadn't even been playing football since, 1996, 4 years previous. And they had about 2,000 UAB fans. They made the 6-hour drive, 7-hour drive, really, probably, when you consider traffic, stopping, eating. It's going to take 7 hours. If you're really flying and you don't get pulled over, 6. And that's best case scenario, Birmingham to Baton Rouge. So the damn long drive. Now, they were like they're thinking, well, if we get a couple of touchdowns, we can at least look okay. But they won. I was there, and they were just going crazy. They were like, yeah. And that's where you really want to cheer, because your team won a real game, not preseason. You beat LSU. You beat an SEC team with your little UAB, Alabama, which actually Alabama Birmingham is a huge school. I think they have more students than LSU, in fact. But anyway, they just don't have a history of athletic. They didn't have an athletic program that long ago. It wasn't even a school until 1969. It's new. You know, you say 50 years old ain't new. Well, it is new when we're talking about universities. But, and I was at the Troy University game 2 years ago. Same thing, like Troy. Oh, yeah, we're not going to lose to Troy. But they did. And I've been to some other ones. So I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, if I was a person that made bets on college football, I would obviously bet for LSU, 21.5-point favorites. Yeah, they'll probably cover the spread, but you never know. You never quite know. And that's the point I'm making about these whiskeys. You never know. And in isolation, you can't be sure. You've got to put it into competition. And when I put Chivas Regal into competition, it was a fiasco. Now, you want to see what whiskey's coming up to be posted? Well, it'll be either tomorrow or Thursday. Yes. A single review, solo. You see, now when I put it in competition, it may not be as fantastic as they claim. That be a great game, says B-Man. Ronnie, grow your hair next time. Judas Priest, ZZ Top. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. I do have a number of ZZ Top and Judas Priest albums, however. I do have many albums from them. Yeah, it was a dove. I don't know. Ozzy Osbourne did a lot of drinking. Like, he didn't do little taste challenges at 5:30 in the morning. You know, his drinking regimen was more like a 12-pack of beer, and then scotch, and then who knows what else. So, I mean, his ability to think straight was heavily impaired. Okay, so and anyway, he hasn't been running his own show. We know who runs the show. And when they met, she was what, 18, and he was 30 something. 30? No big deal. 30, she was 18. But it was a big deal because he was married, he had children. And she was sort of like the Yoko Ono of heavy metal, and she knew what she was doing. Heck, her father ran the group. He managed the group. Well, anyway, that's another story for another time. And it's a very interesting story. But anyway, anybody want to see what's coming up? No. Okay, well, you'll have to wait for the reveal party when it gets posted either tomorrow or Thursday. I can guarantee you that, unless something happens to me, whatever. But tomorrow or Thursday, you're going to see a bourbon whiskey solo review. And then it's going to be a bunch of bourbon taste challenges over the next week and a half. A lot of bourbon coming up. You like corn? You like corn whiskey? Aged in new oak barrels for at least, because it's not all straight bourbon. But anyway, if you like that, get ready. All right. Thanks for watching this video production. And that's that.